Hello and welcome to another episode of Fresh and Fresh. You kept that going a while. You've all heard that in the intro of every single Fresh and Friends episode ever. Thank you very much for doing that.
No worries. Anytime.
And I'm now doing a podcast episode with Mr Iain Chambers from the radio.
It's from the radio. Am I still saved on your phone as Ian from the radio?
No, not anymore.
You changed it.
Do you know what you are now?
Oh, it's something to do with flying, isn't it? What am I now?
Hang on, I need to just double check it. You are
Ian from Economy. So a bit of context, there was a few times actually, where some of you guys have flown business. There was one flight in particular where you went on it.
No, it was after Boston.
Yeah, and I had to walk by Tim, Emmy, and Derry, all sat in premium, and they filmed me walk by them, past them, into Economy.
Oh, couple days are the best.
I'm gonna throw your phone off the plane.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Our travel day group chats are hilarious because
You never know what's going to happen.
you don't know what's going to
You never
happen.
know what's gonna happen.
Sometimes we're balling and we end up in business, and sometimes you've got to walk past people in economy.
Look, you got to take the rough with the smooth. But I'll tell you what, speaking of travel, this is one of the first times we've ever sat down together, had a conversation, just being in each other's presence
Yep.
in the UK, despite the fact that we both grew up a stone's throw away from each other in the same city up north.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
Crazy.
We're both from Hull. I think somebody called it the arse end of the UK. I don't know if that was you, Ian.
Nothing but love for Hull, by the way.
Yeah,
love
but-
Hull.
Absolutely, yeah. We grew up very close to each other. East Hull as well. I don't think I'm doxing too much saying that we're both from
There's
East
a
Hull.
lot of beef west and east. There's two different
Yeah.
rugby league teams. There's Hull KR and Hull FC, and it's the first thing you ever ask somebody if you meet them outside of Hull.
Yeah,
you
100%.
go, "Oh, I'm from Hull. Got a nice UFC or KR."
Yeah.
And if they're KR, I roll with them. If they're FC, they can keep walking. But you're KR because we're both from the east of the city. Yeah.
But yeah, no. And it's weird because we didn't know each other until a few years ago.
Yeah.
But again, we never really meet inside of Hull. There's been a couple of exchanges where...
Breathe.
Our exchanges in Hull was you giving me a Ubisoft UKIN screen to go up behind the casting thing, and me giving you a phone that you was going to give to Easy because he was visiting London.
They're the only two
And they're
times
the
we've
only
seen each
two
other in Hull.
times we've ever seen each other in Hull.
We've never had a beer. We've never had a coffee. Never done any of that. But right here in London, though, thanks for coming down, by the way.
No problem.
We've just been to a nice little gaff around the corner from me.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Fresh hates London.
I do.
I moved here
Just in
a
case
few
London's
years ago.
listening, I do.
No, the thing is, you like my little area,
Yeah, it's nice.
but then it's the journey to here that you don't like, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a northerner who likes peace and quiet.
I had a lovely journey. I got on the Hull trains. I actually got it from Brough this morning anyway. Doesn't matter unless you're local to Hull. Anyway, Hull trains down to London, lovely. Stepped out in King's Cross, hated every second of
Chaos.
it until I arrived near your house, and then it was lovely again.
Yeah. Well, you're more than welcome anytime
we're
you
here.
want. If only you could just teleport from your door to mine.
It'd be nice.
But yeah, this is a rarity. You mentioned there that we've been together. We've spent hours and hours together. We've been in Airbnbs together, just living it up. We've done events that when we were younger, we'd have never dreamed of doing together. And what makes it funny is that we are from that tiny little pinpoint of the UK, but we've only ever spent time together, all these different countries around the world,
Yeah.
to do a siege. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
The fact that we're both from Hull, it blows my mind every I always just go, like, for example, when we were in Brazil the first time, we were like, just two Hull lads in Brazil.
Yeah.
Or like two Hull lads in Berlin or
It
whatever.
was Charlotte for the first time.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in Charlotte when we were just like, we're both from Hull. What are we doing here? Like,
Yeah,
why?
it was crazy. That was my first ever siege event.
Yeah.
Bro, main S tier
The
event.
S tier event.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was Charlotte, then Berlin.
yeah.
Berlin was mega.
Berlin was insane. And then was it Montreal after that? I think it was outside Montreal.
No, you're forgetting the
Jönköping.
you're forgetting the dizzying heights of Jönköping, Sweden.
Jönköping major. Yeah, that was a good one. My mum came to that one.
She did.
Yeah,
She did actually.
yeah. Shout out to my mum.
She's great.
She's lovely.
She is great.
I've got some great stories about my mum. I remember when she called Shaiko Shakira.
Shakira, yeah.
Yeah.
That was at that event, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I had to, just because that, I wanted her to get a true siege experience. So then I brought her and my dad to Manchester as well. Down there. So
Yeah.
she was like, oh, right.
This is the real thing.
This is the real
Yeah,
thing.
because let's be fair to Jönköping, that was very last minute put together and there was nobody there.
I tried not to shout, make some noise too many times.
It would have just been your mum going,
Your mum went,
"Yeah, yeah." Oh dear. Then it was Montreal after. This is 2023.
Which
G2 won
was
that one.
unreal. Unreal.
Yeah.
I love that. I've been really lucky in the sense that over the years, I've still been able to keep saying that's my best event yet.
Yeah.
And I think I'm never going to top that.
Yeah.
And then we somehow top it. Because like SI, I remember thinking, how are we ever going to beat that? You know, the G2 storyline.
In Montreal.
And you know, I got a lot of love for Fabian as well, and that's grown over the years when we worked together. So I always looked at that real fondly. But then, who knew what was to come? And it's just been crazy.
Yeah. We'd also, just speaking of when we'd seen each other, we'd spent some time in Paris together as well. Wait, no, that came afterwards. You'd done Paris EL with the crew, right?
That was when I said au revoir twat.
Au revoir twat.
Yeah.
What an iconic moment.
Yeah. Should we explain that? Or
go on then.
I'll just be brief. There's this clip of me that gets shared every so often.
On Monday, and it's all going to pop off once again. Au revoir, twat. Chat. Someone's going to clip that. Au revoir, chat. We'll be back on Monday. See you then. Bye for now. I'm never coming back. That's it.
It was one of my very first ever like proper Siege events, and it was, to be honest, it was one of my first ever studio-based esports events because
because you was desk hosting.
I was desk hosting.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I did a lot of TV and radio locally in the UK, but it was like I felt like, oh right, I'm in my comfort zone here. This is where I can really show what I can do. And I was wrapping up a show at the time, and what I wanted to say, because we're in France, I wanted to say to the Twitch chat, I wanted to say au revoir chat. See you later. And for some reason, because Twitch was in my mind and chat, I said au revoir twat. And to this day, people I've worked with, Derry, Emmy, Tim, all the OGs, that when I'll just say bye to them, say, see you later guys, au revoir twat. It's like, it's just etched in their minds forever.
The funniest bit about that clip for me is you say au revoir twat and then you go,
because it runs, you know, it just falls out your mouth and you can't take it back.
no, you just got to own it.
It's just
Everybody loved it though. It was great. It was great.
That was good times.
So anyway, yeah, you top out Montreal.
Yep.
We then followed that up Copenhagen Major.
That was
We
fun. Atlanta.
do Atlanta Major, which was good as well.
Really good.
Into Six Invitational 2024.
That was all right.
All right. Sao
Yeah.
Paulo, Brazil.
You know,
One of the, probably the best Six Invitational
the greatest
that's ever happened.
greatest weekend of my life. Yeah. Just, can I swear?
Yeah.
Just fucking incredible.
Gosh,
It's just outrageous. Like, and you know, to be there with like people like Parker and Pengu and the guys who've been there from the start, and for them to be saying, this is the greatest finals ever. And I'm in it. And I'm part of it. I just felt blessed. Because the game's been around long before I came in.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people paved the way for me to be able to do what I do. Shout out to Matt Andrews, by the way, the OG stage host.
Yep.
And then I'm standing there in and amongst this crazy, one-of-a-kind environment. Unforgettable.
I think just quickly on that event in Brazil, I think I'm not one of these people that can go back and watch events. I just can't do it. But it must have looked good when you're watching it at home. But to have been inside that arena, and there were, like I said, very select few people that would have been on the stage or in and around the stage because the desk was right next to it.
Yeah.
That was just like the hairs are starting to stand up on my back thinking
Every
about
time.
it. Every single time. It was so good.
I try and explain it to friends of mine and how crazy of a feeling it was, just because if you look at it like this, right, the only way as a stage host, right, you're very lucky that you get to talk directly to the crowd, right? Hopefully I still have my voice after this. But as a stage host, it's very rare. Having this role allows you to be stood in the centre of thousands of people, and the only other people who get to do it in that sort of environment are rock stars, comedians, whatever else, and then esports stage hosts.
You did the thing with the view from the glasses, didn't you?
Yeah.
At that event. And I remember seeing that. Because even for us, we're there with the desk that was there, but it wasn't front and centre. And it never is. And it looked incredible, that view.
And I got to share it with Leo as well, you know, the Brazilian stage host as well, and he was incredible. But it was like, when the comeback happened in the grand final, and then when I was stood in the middle getting ready to interview Philippox, I'm looking around. It was like a movie. I was looking around. There's people crying. There's people celebrating. There's heads in hands. There are thousands of Brazilian fans, shirts off, all this. It's almost like when I look back at it, it's like slow motion.
Yeah.
And the ground underneath my feet is just vibrating. And I'm thinking, I've got to get into a conversation.
You've got to nail this interview.
And then end it and sign this off. Fucking hell. It was crazy. And I don't take that for granted for a second because there's so much trust involved in that. You know, Ubisoft and the team at Blast as well, you know, but in particular, some of the guys who initially gave me that shot in Charlotte still to this day give me so much crazy amounts of trust. And I'm so lucky that I've got that. It was unreal, that. What a memory.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I love Brazil.
I love Brazil.
I hope we're going back.
I hope we're going back.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So how do we follow that up then? Well, we go to Manchester for the major.
Yeah.
That was major on home soil, which I guess both, especially being North, has been in Manchester. It's only a couple of hours away from Hull.
Yeah.
Having friends and family there was incredible.
And the thing is, we hiked it a lot in the build-up because we were doing EUL as well together. But I do remember saying, look, this is a tough crowd to follow. Because I was like, how do you follow the greatest Siege event of all time? Like,
Yeah.
the greatest Siege crowd of all time. And then Manchester did what I hoped they would do, and that crowd did, was their own spin.
Yeah.
And they made it a UK event.
They
And,
did.
and there's nothing like a UK event. It was like
Yeah.
football crowd energy, wasn't it? And it was just class.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I mean, obviously, there's like Tom and his group and all of those people that were really getting the songs and the
How
chants
lucky are we to
going.
have them?
Yeah, no, thank God they were there.
Thank God.
But then there was also, and every good story needs a villain.
Yeah.
And there was the villains of the guys that were supporting Beast Coast.
Yeah.
And the guy with the mullet, and they were chanting that his mullet was shit and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, because there was that back and forth, it got even better. But yeah,
It was nuts.
that event for me was just to have friends and family there, particularly.
That was because like all your family were there.
Yeah, everybody.
It was
yeah.
so cool.
But it really validates it as well because it's like, you know, when you say to your grandparents, like, oh, I'm leaving a job in finance to go and work in esports, and they're like, what the fuck? And then, to be fair to my grandparents, they've always supported it. They came out to Copenhagen Major, for example.
Yeah,
like, yeah, for my partner's parents and stuff, and like, you know, it's a big risk. And for them to come and see that it's not just some people sat streaming from the bedrooms, it is this massive thing. It was really nice. It was really good.
I remember my mum was sat towards the back. My mum and dad were sat towards the back. And at one point, I just popped off stage and I was like, I'll just go sit with them for 5 minutes. This sounds like I'm blowing smoke up my ass. I'm genuinely not. This is truth to what happened. And only people in the Siege community know this happens. I'm trying to get to my mum in the crowd. It took me half an hour to get to her.
Yeah, you got to fight through. Yeah.
Because I'm taking pictures, I'm signing autographs and stuff. It's so weird because it's like this little bubble where you get to feel like that what it must be like to be
To be actually famous, yeah.
yeah, but like you also think, imagine how exhausting that would be if it was
Yeah.
like for all your life.
Yeah.
Every day. But when I do these Siege events, one of my favourite parts is meeting the community because
Yeah.
they're what make it so good.
Oh, it's amazing.
By
It is
far.
amazing. I had a very similar thing actually. We went to the Trafford Centre, me and my partner and all of her family for dinner, and we were trying to find somewhere for dinner. And there's people stopping me for photos and signatures, and my partner's family are just like, "What is this?"
But unless you're in it, you don't understand it. I always speak to my boy. You know how much I love Tim. I'll sit next to him at an autograph signing desk or whatever, and he'll be like, "Ian, take a look around you. Take a look around. Take it in." And I'm just like, I know. It's like, but we always say that to each other. It's like, because he's super grounded and appreciative of every opportunity.
Yeah.
Me and him are always talking about how cool it is.
Tim's always really good for that, actually. The first year I went out to Paris, we managed to get tickets for PSG football when they were playing against Manchester City. We got them on the day. Really lucky to get them because we paid like €20 or something stupid.
Crazy.
And we were in the section with the PSG Ultras. And like PSG, Messi had just scored his first ever goal for PSG. And it's about a minute later, it's just as it started to go down, Tim turns around to me and he goes, I fucking love esports. And it's like, those little moments are just all enabled because of the job. And
Well,
the
a
life
little
we
bit
have.
of a peel back of the curtain for us is that we when it's mainly, I guess it's me, you, Emmy, Derry and Tim.
Yeah.
Whenever we're together, an event abroad, we always try and go to some kind of an iconic occasion.
Yeah, we do actually.
It tends to lean into the sporting world for sure. So like we've been at NBA games together, we've been at ice hockey games together, all sorts of cool, unforgettable things. That is one of the true benefits of not just because I get to do a lot of different events, different games, different mediums as well in the presenting world. But when we get together, the Siege crew, it's like when you're not at work, when you're at work, it feels like you're not working because you love your job. And then it's not like you're going back to just spend time on your own in your hotel room. You're with your best mates and you're just going to do cool shit.
That night in Atlanta where like I definitely was not feeling it that night and you were all just like, we need to ball. We need to
Yeah.
go to the NBA.
Yeah.
We're going.
We went to the Hawks, didn't we?
I came down, I was trundling down, and Tim was like, right, here's paracetamol. Get right, we're going.
Yeah, he went into dad mode.
We went to the Hawks.
Tim went into dad mode.
And then when we went to the Montreal Canadiens, because I went with my brother.
That was crazy.
And you three got a fucking box.
Accidentally stumbled into a box, yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, it's amazing. I love the fact that we've been able to, the amount of sporting events and things I've been and done and seen because of esports is crazy.
And we're all so different.
Yeah.
Like, we're all so different, but when we're together, it just clicks.
Yeah.
I love Emmy for so many reasons. I love Derry. Derry is like one of my key ballers. You know, when, and he knows this, but when we were in Brazil together in Sao Paulo, me and him were just like, where can we go next? What are we doing next? Where's the next adventure?
Yeah.
And he's just like, me and him.
I regret not going out in Sao Paulo.
Hey, if we go back to Brazil,
we'll
go out.
Yeah.
We'll go out.
Okay, so where did we get to? Manchester Major. We then had, what was after Manchester Major? Montreal Major.
Montreal Major. Good to go back to Canada.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was a nice event, that. It was cold. The freaking arena was freezing.
Really good event, though.
But it was a good event. And then we most recently have just returned from, well, I have. You've probably done about 18 different events since. The SI in Boston. In the US, which again was really good.
The Boston SI. Again, it was so it had the similar sort of pressure on it that the Manchester Major had, which is obviously the majors had happened, but you're still following the SI that had just been, which was Sao Paulo. So it's like the next SI. And what Ubisoft, in the creative team, you know, shout out to Nelson, man. Like, Nelson's vision for colour schemes and all that stuff, the vision.
It gave it its own identity.
It felt like Hollywood premiered, you know, like the Oscars, you know, the fact that we all rocked up in tuxedos and stuff like that. It made it feel
so good.
Yeah, because I thought, you know, you'll know watching this in esports, anytime you put a suit on and like take it too seriously, it's a risk. You know, you can go up there looking like a bit of a knob.
Yeah. But which does happen. Let's be real. It does happen.
It does happen.
I don't say it happens too much in our esport, but certain other stuff that I've seen, it does, yeah.
But we, in tuxedos, I personally think, and I'm biased, right? But it looked good. But I think it was because we were all rocking them.
Yeah.
If it was just me up there in a tux, everyone, what's he doing? And the fact that everyone was wearing tuxedos made it work.
Yeah, especially the devs, Joshua and Alex. They'd heard about us all putting tuxes on in our plans, and they didn't have to do that.
Oh, the pins as well?
Yeah, and
6 pins.
I believe they paid out of their own pocket to put tuxes on, which they absolutely did.
They wiped the floor with me as well. Like their tux was so much nicer than my tux.
Yeah.
My tux was basic.
But honestly, it was so good. And like, I think the good thing about Siege, and I always say this about Siege as well, is we don't take ourselves too seriously. Even though it was in tuxes and stuff, like, I think it worked really well because of the theatre that we were in, the event we were at, and the whole creative direction they were going with that event. It worked lovely.
So I was sat next to Nelson in the taxi on the way to the after party. We just started like talking about, just for some reason he thinks we've got similar fashion sense, which I thought was a compliment because the man dresses so well. Just for the record, so what's Nelson's actual role at Ubisoft? Do you know?
No.
He's just like one of the gods. Who's sort of like the fairy godmother who makes it all happen.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is we got on to talking about his vision and how because he is basically the mastermind behind how things look aesthetically. So that event in Boston, a lot of that was from his mind.
Yeah.
So like the color schemes, every corner of every stage and screens and all that, it's all him.
You know which ones Nelson's done because he did the SI where it was in COVID, in the Paris,
which was
in the bank, well, the stock exchange in Paris.
He's got great taste.
The Charlotte one with all the rocks and everything like that.
Love that.
Berlin. Was Nelson
with the structure in the center. Yeah, that was nice.
And then this SI.
Yeah.
He might have done some more. Obviously, he has input into them, but they're the ones that I think he's had like creative control.
Fully involved in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's brilliant. Yeah. Really good.
Yeah.
Great story. His life is really interesting if you talk to him because he's a big part of the scene.
So that was Boston as well. So that's all of the Siege events.
That brings us up to now.
You've ever done. So I mean, incredible. You're now part of the furniture, the same as the rest of us, aren't you, Mr Iain?
Yeah, but that took a while. You know, I remember just running it back to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because I mistakenly went into the Charlotte Major thinking, all right, we've had COVID. Everyone's just going to be buzzing to be there. This is going to be the easiest job I've ever done because all I've got to do is get the crowd hyped and keep moving, right? And I go out there and I'm wearing this mad outfit. It's just like black jeans, like black leather bomber jacket, Jordan trainers and all this. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't remember this.
And I go out there and the crowd's just not into it. on my
Really?
first time out there.
Really?
And I'm going, shit, what's going on? What's happening here? And I did what you should never do as a talent. I went backstage. I started looking on the chat, Twitch
Oh,
chat.
God.
And so many, who the fuck is this guy? There was this one comment that says, who is this Walmart M&M? So then what I did was, next time I went out on stage, I said, I haven't said this yet, but I just wanted to thank everybody for having me for my first ever Siege event, especially you in the chat who said I look like a Walmart M&M. And
Really?
everyone started laughing.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay,
You
I
got
think
him
I
on
took the
side.
edge off a little bit
Yeah,
there
yeah.
because I did look like a Walmart M&M. Look up the pictures. Do you want a drink?
Yeah, go on then.
I've only got Red Bull. 'cause
Of
that's-
course you've only got
That's
Red
all I
Bull.
drink.
What was your last event, Ian, that you just did?
I just got back from Ibiza, so I work a lot with Red Bull. Again, very lucky. They hosted an event over in Ibiza called Red Bull Ibiza Royale.
Nice.
So they built up at Ibiza Castle, which is in the old town. They built this crazy like obstacle course, invited a load of like Red Bull athletes and creators out to run it,
Yep.
and they all competed over this weekend running
Nice.
these crazy obstacles. So yeah, shout out to Red Bull.
Shout out to Red Bull.
It's a good edition. This is the summer edition.
I really like the watermelon one. That's why you got me
Cheers.
this one.
That's on me, brother.
Cheers.
So yeah, where should we go next with this? We're all caught up to date.
So we've done Siege. We've kind of done a little bit about each event, and we will go into Siege a little bit more in detail.
Yeah,
Is it good?
it's good.
Nice. I guess for me, I think a lot of people will have, the people that watch the podcast will be very much into Siege, so they will know who you are. But they might not know about your story of, I guess, how you ended up into, I would say, first and foremost, broadcasting.
Yep.
And then into esports specifically. So if we start from the very beginning of Iain Chambers, babyface out of school, college, whatever, did you go straight into media from that?
So I came out of college and then I went and did a undergraduate degree at York St John University
Nice.
in English language and literature.
Right, okay.
I just knew I wanted to go to uni. I wanted to have the experience that uni brings, which
Yeah.
is like the party and fun lifestyle, but also I really wanted the discipline of meeting deadlines and
Yeah.
all that good stuff, which I didn't do too often. Did that, came out and I did a bit of work for a company called the Press Association. I was doing
in Howden.
in Howden.
Yeah.
My dad worked there actually, and he got me in doing a bit of live football commentary, which not on the mic, it was like text commentary. So I'd sit there with a pundit in my ear who'd be sat at the game.
Okay.
So do you know?
So like when you would be like BBC Sport.
Correct.
Right, okay.
That was me inputting all that data.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So then I got a sniff of that world, and then I went, do you know what? I'm just going to go do a broadcast journalism degree. I always enjoyed being like stage work, and I was in the pantomimes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I don't know why, I just always enjoyed it. But I knew that I also liked the journalism side. So I did a broadcast journalism master's degree. Went down to London, did some video journalist work down here for a long time, covering all sorts of stuff. So
Was that for like a news channel? Or...
yeah, so I then got a job with PA down here.
Okay, cool.
So I'm doing all these things like premieres, but then I'm doing like murder cases. Like it was just such a varied, like crazy job.
And what did you actually do?
So I'd get up in the morning, go into the office, and the news editor would say, right, Ian, here's what you're doing today, if it wasn't already booked into the diary. But I'd have my own designated like camera kit. I'd head out the door in the morning, jump on the tube, or I'd get in for example, I'll give you one example. Chelsea press conference day is midweek to talk about the game that's coming up at the weekend. So I'd go down to Cobham, which is where their training ground is, and I'd film. At the time, it was either Jose Mourinho or Rafa Benitez. We're talking years ago, guys. And then I'd take that footage back to the office,
Yeah.
pull it off the tape. It was on a tape at the time. And then I was,
What's years ago then?
I'm really showing my age here. And then we'd send it out to customers. So
There's people watching this Googling what is a tape. Asking ChatGPT. Anyway, go on.
but yeah, there was, the days were so varied, and it really introduced me to like proper graft. Like I was pulling long shifts
Yeah.
all over the city. Days were that varied to the point where one day I might just spend 8 hours stood outside of a court waiting for someone to come out. Or there was days where there was one day I climbed the O2 Arena with Ant and Dec. And once I met John Travolta and David Beckham in the same day, Sylvester Stallone.
Hang on.
This was early doors.
These are some name drops.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go too fast on these. You climbed the O2 Arena with Ant and Dec.
With a camera on my shoulder, filmed them up there, took it back to the office, got the tape out. It'd be like events or news stories that we'd film, and then our clients that subscribe to PA would all get the footage and they could use it.
Okay. So like, if there was a news channel that subscribed to PA, they could use your footage
On their
and
news
you would
channel.
record the footage. Right. Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Understood.
But it was a great time in my life.
Okay.
But I took a big gamble because I was onto a good thing. You know, it was a good job and I could have climbed the ranks there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get into presenting. I just knew that I had it in me.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I did anyway. And then there was a load of local TV stations opening up across the country. There was this big scheme. And one of them was offering news reporter jobs in Nottingham, a TV station called Notts TV. So I applied, got offered a job, took a pay decrease, and I just took the jump because I wanted to try and get into that world.
Which would have been a risk because presumably London is the place to be.
Absolutely. Everyone said, you're absolutely mental. What are you doing? But I made the jump. And then from there, it was like this tiny little engine that could. I was doing news reports, but every opportunity I got, I tried to add a bit of personality. So I could give me a chance hosting the evening entertainment show.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I just kept doing news pieces over a year or so. Then I got one opportunity to do the entertainment show. I did some sports bulletins and stuff. And just for the record, if anybody ever finds this stuff, I was horrendous. But what was so good about it, and I really appreciate
Does it exist?
Yeah, of course it does.
On YouTube? No?
Yeah.
Is there a tape somewhere?
There's a tape somewhere. I destroyed all tapes. But it was a really epic experience. In hindsight, looking back, I'm so grateful to the opportunity that TV station gave me because what I was getting was reps. I just didn't know it at the time. Live, in my ear, producers, all that, every night once I started to get into it. And I had a football talk show and we were just doing it, you know, Monday to Friday, which is rare, you know, in the presenting world to be every night on live TV. So I got really good at my craft in regards, I still was pretty crap when I left. But then one guy saw me. I might be going off on one here, but I'm just giving you a whistle-stop tour.
Go for it.
And then one guy who was the head of a radio station in the East Midlands.
Yep.
They had a really popular breakfast radio show called Sam and Amy. They'd won awards. They'd been doing it for years and years. Massive listeners. And one day, I found out that Sam was going on holiday from Sam and Amy. And this boss of the radio station happened to be staying in a hotel room where Notts TV was on. And he saw me hosting a show.
Yeah.
And he called the guy he knew at the TV station, was like, have you got this guy's number? Long story short, the week after I was on the breakfast show.
Right. Okay.
Filling in for this guy.
And breakfast is like the most, on like radio, breakfast is the...
Breakfast
it's
is
breakfast
the show.
and drive time, isn't it? Like,
Correct.
Yeah.
So then, for some reason, that went really well. And I'd never spoken into a radio mic before. And then I ended up getting my own breakfast weekend show. And then we did the drive time show with a good friend of mine called Jenny Longdon. If you're watching, Jenny, love you. She was like she was like my best mate for years. We were just like every day together, making radio. I was still doing TV at the time.
Nice.
And that was the TV and radio side. And it was a long period of time. I was trying to condense it, but I learnt a lot over those years, and it all laid the foundations for me to do what I do now.
How long was that period approximately?
From master's degree to leaving radio and Notts TV, that was about 8 years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It was a long stint.
Which is longer than you've been in esports so far.
Yeah. And this is what I say to anybody who's ever got aspirations and dreams of doing something, even if you don't quite know what it is yet. The best advice anyone ever gave me was patience, and I never had it. I always just wanted everything right now. Good friend of mine called James Brownlow, who was like kind of like my unofficial manager for a few years, and he was just always hammering the big P word, patience. It wasn't up until recently that I started to apply it. As long as you work it, it's like anything. It's like you chip away at it, and you're always if you're always learning, then it puts you in good stead.
So you spent a lot of time at regional radio.
Yeah.
That's obviously a big period of your life in your career.
Yeah.
But you then make a decision, or you end up going into esports and presenting full time, maybe not in a traditional line of work, being TV or radio.
Yeah.
How does that even come about?
So I also, when I was working at Notts TV, I was doing some like directing and vision mixing stuff, right?
Okay.
And there was always like a rotating sort of staff team. And there was a certain guy, George Patchett, his name is.
Okay.
He was doing sound and I'd be like, George, sound on A, sound on B. And he'd like pull up the sound for news packages or whatever that were playing out, right?
Yep.
And I'd just have so much fun with George. Like, we just got on really well. He then left, and then fast forward several, it felt like a big chunk of time. I'm doing an event and George is there. I'm hosting this event and I'm like, George, how's life? What's going on with you? And he's like, oh, I'm working for ESL now. And I was like, what? The gaming broadcasting company or whatever. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you ever need presenters for that? Or like, because I said to him, like, I grew up as a gamer. Like gaming was in my DNA. And I was like, how do you even get to a point where you are presenting in a gaming world. It was all so foreign to me at the time. And he just sort of took my details and then moved on. And it was a small, brief conversation. And then fast forward well over a year later, I hear from the guys at ESL UK at the time. It was Rich Brown who contacted me. And he was like, there's an opportunity coming up. Here's how much we can pay you. It's in Manchester, and it is ESL UK Premiership, bit of CS, bit of Rainbow Six. Can you stage host
Oh,
it?
did you do CS as well?
Yeah, all in one day.
Wow, okay.
And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll come along and do it. And got put up in a hotel in Manchester, and it changed everything. Changed everything. I remember going on stage, and it was like I got to pull together all these skills that I thought I had over the years.
Yeah.
There's crowd work.
Yeah.
The cameras everywhere. The mixture of live broadcast, but in-house to the arena as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is sick. This is what I want to do. And the crowd were awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the Iain Chambers fan club,
Yeah.
led by my guy Leon Gids.
Leon, Shattered,
Yeah.
Plebma. I'm trying to remember who else was in it. There was a few of them.
Why is the word Herbie coming to me? The name Herbie coming
That's
to me?
Shattered.
Okay.
Shattered is his real name's Herbie.
Those guys, right?
Yeah.
Just absolute. So they were taking the piss, right? 100% taking the piss. But they are cheering for me whenever I'm on stage, this group of lads. And they're calling it the Iain Chambers fan club and they're posting pictures with me. They are 100% taking the piss at the time. And then, like, because I loved it. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And just, we'll come back to this, but fast forward to the Berlin Major. This guy, Leon Gids, who was head of the Iain Chambers fan club, went on to win the Berlin Major with his team, Rogue, right?
Yeah.
And I remember standing on stage with him as he lifted the trophy, and I'm like, it's Rogue. You used to be the head of the Iain Chambers fan club, and now look at you. But yeah, I remember doing that, and basically I just thought, right, now I understand that esports is a thing. The community for it's awesome. The competitive side of it is just so engaging and like nail-biting stuff.
Yeah.
And I met some really cool people, including yourself, and then basically the UK crew. And then from there, luckily for me, a lot of you guys kept pitching me to Ubisoft to get pulled in for a major. And it wasn't until Charlotte that happened. And then from there, you know, the rest is history, really.
Then you've kicked on in Siege.
But yeah, but outside of Siege, I actually used some of that footage along with some of my TV stuff and radio stuff to put together a show reel. And that's when I was like desperately trying to get an agent.
Okay.
I thought if I can get an agent, it'll get me into some doors.
Yeah.
And I was just having bad luck, you know, like way before Charlotte, I wasn't getting any of the stuff that I wanted to get. Obviously, it's not that easy. You can't knock on doors and people answer. I know that now. But at the time, I was like, what's it going to take for me to get an opportunity? You know, I came close with an ITV show. I nearly got an ITV show.
Wow.
Didn't come off. I was having meetings with WWE. Didn't come off, but came close. But what I didn't realize at the time is that they were all still great things because I was having meetings. But because I wasn't getting the opportunities, I was like, oh, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, I applied for and got offered a job working for Leicestershire Police. And I was about to give it all up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I was about to just go, you know what?
As a police officer?
As a police
Wow.
officer. Yeah, because that was always, I grew up, I always thought I either wanted to do this or be a detective, which is weird. But I came really close to taking that on. And then one day I just woke up and I was like, what are you doing? You've come too far, keep going. And then I reached out to a few more. And then one agent got back to me, Andrew from Bad Moon Talent. And from there, he got me a couple of gigs.
Yeah.
Early doors, like with Guild Esports and stuff like that.
Okay. So that's how Guild came about. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just started going for it and kicking down doors and like trying to take opportunities and make good impressions and all that. And then it started to grow.
Did you target other esports, or was it kind of just all snowballed into? Because I know I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know you see just like your home territory.
Yeah.
But you do so many other things.
I think I just love the test of it. I took on some jobs probably a little bit too soon because when I was new to it, my agent would be like, Iain, we've got you this. Iain, we've got you that.
Yeah.
And like there was some Valorant gigs that I probably shouldn't have taken on too early because there was this one gig that I did while I was working a football show in Portugal. And then I'd finish that and I'd go into the hotel room and then I'd do a Valorant show. And at the time, I didn't have enough prep time or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas I'd never do that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got some opportunities that I just grabbed. You know, I got a Red Bull Gaming opportunity early on, and that led to lots of other opportunities. And when people start to realize that, I guess that they can trust you to host an event, that's when you can really start nailing the work.
Trust is a remarkable thing. I say it as somebody who only does Siege, but I feel like Siege trusts me a lot when I'm on the camera.
They do.
And the same with you. And that's such a big thing whenever, people are looking for talent and, for people who aspire to be talent or on stream roles, it's
for
like
sure.
that trust element
Trust
is everything.
I think my advice to anybody who wants to get into this side of things, look, I'm lucky in the sense that I do get to, like you said, Siege is my home. I think any esports hosts in the industry, they have a central home and then they do other stuff. I'm friends now I'm going for lunch tomorrow actually with OJ Borg.
Okay.
And, he does all this stuff.
Yeah.
But he's CS guy.
Yeah.
That's where he does his thing.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you've got that, I don't think there's anything wrong with venturing out and doing all sorts of stuff. But my advice to anybody, I know you won't ask me this, but my advice is, you said about trust, that's massive.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is appreciation for what it takes to make the event happen. And it's not just you stepping onto a desk or stepping onto a stage with a microphone and being great to work with and understanding of everybody's roles. I think that's what helped. Again, going back to the Not TV stuff, I did so many different roles that I had this fundamental understanding of what it takes to make the cameras come on and then it starts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've worked with so many cool clients that I never thought I'd dream of working with. So
any highlights?
Sao Paulo.
Other than Siege, top 3 highlights. Just because I'm intrigued.
Red Bull are a phenomenal client. Let me just have a quick sip of my drink. Just because their entire MO is adventure and pushing things to the limit and, doing things differently. So, I did a Valorant event in Japan, Red Bull home ground.
Yeah.
And that was in it was called the Ryogoku Koguki-kan Arena in Tokyo, Japan.
Nice.
And it's like a historic sumo arena. So that was crazy because surrounded by Japanese culture, production values were epic. So that was a real special standout for me. Like I just said, the Ibiza stuff that I've just got back from, I said to you before we went on air, that's right up there.
Yeah,
just because, again, it was just such an outrageously ambitious project.
Yeah.
I did an event at Wimbledon.
You name drop like it's nothing. By the way. About 5 minutes ago, you just casually was like, I had a meeting with ITV News, WWE. like it's nothing.
Yeah, but
now we're going for Wimbledon.
So this was mad. So Wimbledon this was such a cool project. So they did a top spin online their edition of Wimbledon, but they did it from the grounds of Wimbledon.
Okay.
I actually got tickets to go centre court to go have the meeting about this, which was just crazy. I got a call. I was driving along.
So the offer came in centre court.
Pretty much. Well, I've been picked. When you say it out loud, you realise how ridiculous it is. But that show was really cool. Again,
do you know how much tickets for centre court at Wimbledon? Sorry, I can't. I'm gonna stop interrupting.
No, I like to be reminded of how ridiculous some of this shit is.
Anyway, so you're at centre court in Wimbledon, as you do. It's just another Tuesday for Ian Chambers.
So we have a meeting about it, and then I do some recordings so we get the gig, which is epic because I grew up watching Wimbledon, Tim Henman when I was younger, and all these guys.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun event because I was in the prestigious grounds of Wimbledon, which was crazy. And I remember I woke up the day before, and you sometimes check your Instagram and maybe you've got a DM or something. Yeah. It says, Wimbledon wants to collaborate with your post or whatever. I was like, Wimbledon wants to collaborate with me? What the hell? And then put together a promo video to promote the event.
Right, okay.
So just little things like that. I was just like, wow, because
yeah.
They said it's an elite brand to work with.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I guess I wanted to build my skill set to the point where I am booked for my ability for events, not necessarily my knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you can grow your knowledge. Look, for a role like an analyst, I'm a big believer in analysts, commentators, casting. Your knowledge needs to be through the roof. But for certain events, as long as you're given enough advance notice and you work closely with your analysts and work closely with your team, you can do it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing we do at Siege. The night before the main stage, we have what we call Siege with Siege, where we go through, and the primary goal is for you to go through your intros for the team when you're introing them onto the stage for the first day of the live event. At the same time, we discuss all the teams and go through it for all of us, but also for you as well, who's not necessarily as close to the teams and the games as we are.
Well, because especially during the seasons, you guys are living and breathing it, right?
Yeah.
But then obviously you guys also have to do a lot of research on the other regions too.
Yeah.
But the Siege stuff is, again, where I really realise how close we are as friends, because basically, Siege and Receive is we all get together in someone's hotel room. Tends to be me, you, Emmy, Derry, and Tim.
Yep.
We've had some people come and join every
We've
so
had
often.
some guests, yeah.
Which we're happy to do. But basically, I will stand up as if they're my audience, and I will go through my team introductions, and then they'll just go, "Nah, I'm not either. I love that," or "Nah, I'm not feeling that. Let's do that again." And it's a real good way of getting it down because you are Siege fans at heart, right? So you know what
So
works.
we tell you it as a Siege fan, don't we?
Yeah.
The funny thing for me there is I'm not creative whatsoever, especially with wordplay. So I just sit and listen.
Yeah.
But like Tim, Des, Emmy, you're all like lyrical,
Yeah.
and you all share that trait of being able to play on words and create these amazing intros. And people probably don't even hear it at home and think, "Oh, that's linked." But every single one of those intros.
Oh, we think hard about it.
Meticulously
Yeah.
created. It's not just like, oh, it's G2.
No,
You know
no,
what I mean?
no.
It's just like,
That'd be
I
too
was going to
easy.
drop a different reference there, and I've pulled out of that one. But I will say there is a couple of videos from Siege Receive that may or may not get put on this,
Okay.
especially of the knee kick
Oh, the knee kick.
and of the G2 from the first ever Siege Receive, which Ian was practicing his intro for
I bottled it
G2.
completely.
He did a little shimmy and a knee kick,
Yeah.
and then he said G2 and his voice broke in
Yep.
the middle of it.
So here's what happened, right? So I was messing around at Siege and Receive where I kept doing this, like, I said, when I introduce G2, I'll do like a kick and a turn and then say, "It's G2," like that, right?
Yep.
So what actually happened in the moment is my confidence was low. I don't think the fans were feeling me that much. So I did like half a kick and then turned and went, "G2." And the amount of messages I got afterwards saying,
Oh no, the voice break moment was actually on camera, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought it was in the hotel room.
"No, it happened on the show."
It was actually.
It happened on the show. And it's the one time it's happened.
Budget Eminem with his voice breaking. Was it Budget Eminem?
Walmart Eminem.
Walmart Eminem.
I should have never got booked again after Charlotte.
It was incredible.
I always think back to Charlotte because like that crowd, by the end of it, do you remember how much fun we had afterwards?
Yeah.
Like, they were so invested in that
loved
event.
it.
It was so good. But yeah, that was fun.
Okay, so cool.
Yeah.
We've kind of covered esports. Another aspect to your life,
Yes.
you are a business owner.
Yes.
You run a business, just like a couple of other people in esports, Derry in particular, who also has one.
Yep.
You have your own small business. So what is it? What does it do?
So when do you know what? I
This
just want
is
to
where
make.
we
I do
start
want to
name
make.
dropping even more stars,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. I do want to make clear here that it's really weird as a host to be interviewed. Because I always think, like, why does anyone give a shit about what I've got to say? Because like normally I'm always the one asking the questions, you know?
Actually, just before we do this,
Yeah.
sorry, I need to change my position here. One of the things that I wanted you to do in Boston that we never got around to doing because everybody was deathly sick was Iain Chambers does the Fresh and Friends takeover.
And I interview you.
No, but you interview other people.
Oh, mate,
And I sit back like this.
at the next event we'll do that. Down for
If
that.
you're down,
I'm
just
definitely
pick
down.
2 or 3 people.
Absolutely. Can I interview you? I think that'd be fun.
Me and 2 others.
There you go. Friends. Let's do it.
Because you can give it the actual intro.
All right, cool.
I can't roll my R's at all.
Mate, I used to do that on every show that we were on together. I used to do that. Where was I?
Every time you message me on WhatsApp, actually, you just send me a voice note. Anyway, go on. So,
Production company.
production company. Well, you haven't said that yet. You've got a business.
I got a business. So during the time at Knots TV back in the day,
Yep.
there was this young lad who started trying to get a job with me called Jake, right? He's a lot younger than me, and he reminds me of that all the time. He was like a little Rottweiler trying to get a job,
Right.
and I gave him a job. And then we both went our separate ways. I went to do a lot more radio, and he went and got a job at Sky Sports boxing as like a social guy.
Okay.
So, but we're always in touch and stuff. And then I decided, just before the pandemic hit, that I wanted to go traveling.
Yeah.
Might have gone through a little bit of heartbreak. We don't need to talk about that now. And I decided to go do Southeast Asia and stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh, come here for the first leg of the journey."
Cool.
So he left Sky Sports boxing. I was freelance, and we were just traveling. I remember we were in Vietnam and we were on like a pedalo, and he was like, "We should start our own thing one day." And I was like, "Yeah, we should." Anyway, fast forward to during the pandemic. I was still doing presenting work, mainly in esports at the time, and some other little side hustles here and there. But I had so much free time, and I'm no good with it because, like I said, I came from a background in 9 to 5, so I'm not very good at sitting and doing nothing. So we started a company called Brain Cup Media. And at first, we were just 2 morons trying to figure it all out, like we'd picking up clients and helping them with their social media output and stuff like that. And then over the years, we sort of grew into the boxing world in particular. We run social accounts for big boxing brands, but then what came after that was the real bulk of our business now, which is live streaming. So we are, I guess, like in a box live streaming production company that can take you live with multi-camera, high-level shoot wherever you are in the world. And yeah, we've really linked up in particular with Queensbury Promotions. That's Frank Warren's boxing promotion. And we do a lot of stuff for them. We're always all over the place. We've got a great team of staff. Shout out to every single one of you. And things are good. But Jake is, the engine. He's a beast. And luckily for me, he's very accommodating for my escapades abroad, talking into microphones. So we've got a good little partnership going. And yeah, we're about 4 years in now, and it's going great. Going great.
You've done some of the biggest boxing events in recent history as well, haven't you?
We have, yeah. We have done all of Tyson Fury's most recent stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the Riyadh season, big boxing fights that are over there at the moment. We did fights at Wembley.
You've done Joshua, right, as well?
Joshua Dubois at Wembley, which was crazy. And we're just like, I remember when we first started doing some of the bigger stuff, we did Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte at Wembley. And I managed to blag my way into filming Tyson Fury's ring walk. So I just tagged along with his entourage. If you've ever seen it, it's quite iconic. He just starts running to the ring. He's got his posse behind him. And there's just me. There's just me running along going, yeah. But it did. That clip did numbers. But yeah, he always takes the piss out of me because I find myself in these weird scenarios and he's always going about me name dropping. But yeah, it's crazy. But I do want to make clear here, like, it's great team effort from Brain Cup. And Jake in particular is just like, he grew as a businessman over the years and he's really good at it.
How many staff do you have? So you and Jake are the founders.
Yeah.
How many staff do you have under that?
We've got, I'd say about 8 plus freelancers.
And then
we've
you use
quite a lot of
freelancers for
a lot.
events as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we've got like a crew of like trusted freelancers that we pull with us wherever we can.
Nice.
Got some really exciting stuff coming up as well, so can't say too much about it, but there's good stuff coming up on the horizon.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
Yeah, I do. Honestly, mate, it's crazy. Because if you're not doing something cool in esports, you're doing something cool in boxing. It's the most annoying thing ever.
You always message me like, what is your life or whatever. Like,
the thing is, I quite like boxing as well.
I know
so
you
I'm
do.
watching these events and I'm just like, I just know Ian's there front and centre. It pisses me off. Like, when are you going to get me a job?
yeah, well, the thing is, you work for
I've got a
Derry.
remote production.
Yeah, look at this. Fresh cut media, right here. It's a beautiful thing. But what I love about you is that you're similar in the sense that you love the grind.
Yeah.
Like, you do all of it. Not only do you do the esports as an analyst, one of the best in the biz, by the way, but you do all of the content around it. So all of your analytical and stat content, plus you've moved on to doing like short form content yourself on camera when you're at these events. On top of that, you work in accounting with Derry, God forbid. I don't know how you do that. And then you've got podcasting.
Yeah.
I think it's a mindset. It's a bug because there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
You're not able to chill. I ain't got great chill. But you're always looking to create.
My partner said this to me the other day, actually. She said, your life in a way at times is easy because you just do whatever you want most days. But actually, you've not had a day off in years.
Absolutely.
You've not had a day's holiday in years. No. I'm going on holiday next week and I am going to have a few days off.
You better do.
But like, and it is like that. Because it's just like, even if you're not doing an event, you're doing something else. And that's the same for you.
But I do think it's something that's either in you or it isn't. Luckily, my girlfriend is really good at chilling. And she's really driven and hardworking, but she knows what makes her happy when she's not stereotypically achieving. She can find peace in nothingness, reading a nice book somewhere or whatever. Whereas I'm always looking to achieve, which is really annoying. Shout out to the addicted to achieving people out there.
Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah. Well, it never stops, does it? Like, I mean,
it doesn't.
Even today is like, you're like, before this is going on, you're like, shit, something's happening at Brain Cup. Like, got to get on it.
Yeah.
Just as like, that's just the way it is, right? It's the same thing. I know Derry's, well, both me and Derry, I know I just work for Derry, but Derry's very much the same with One Up, is that when he's out at esports events, if something's on fire at One Up is his baby, and he's still doing One Up whilst he's at esports and everything else.
I think with young companies, like, I'm lucky that we've got great people that work with us, but still there's like that, you can't step too far away because it's your kid, innit?
Yeah.
So.
And you need that, to be fair. In any startup business, you need people who are like, and I assume it's the same as all of your employees and your freelancers you work with, they've got to be the best in class because you're on limited resources, you're on limited everything, and you need to extract the most performance out of them.
And you soon find out who's right for it, and they're the ones who always come back.
It is, just to draw comparisons, I've worked in a lot of big companies. Like when I came through as an accountant, it was a big firm, international firm, and I've always worked in big companies. Then to go to a startup company where I'm working now with One Up, you see it and you're just like, you know if somebody's not going to work. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
And Derry's very particular as well. But I feel like I could sit here and talk about Siege in particular for hours, just because I know that's when we're together, that's what we'd be doing 90% of the time. That, you know, I'm really lucky. I do want to make super clear here that I'm really lucky to do what I do. Obviously, that you have to build a skill set, you have to sacrifice a lot. But no matter what, you're still lucky because you're the one getting the opportunity to do it. So I love working in Siege. I love working across all the little bits and pieces that I do. Who's your favourite team in Siege? I'm putting you on the spot. I know it is.
Who is it?
G2, isn't it?
Oh no, my light's gone. No.
One light. We're still good. It's G2, isn't
Not
it?
quite a remote production company. Yeah. If that happens, Daniel Dubois. Anyway.
I'm out. Yeah, lights out.
Brain cup's gone.
Yeah, we're done. We're finished.
G2, I'd probably say.
Yeah.
There's always going to be affinity there, given I was on that team.
Yeah.
As much as they piss me off.
I think.
Why did you ask me that? I feel like we've just flipped.
Yeah. I got Ian and friends for a minute here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've thought about it, who my favourite team is.
Who's your favourite team?
I think it's W7M now Furia.
Yeah.
Just because I built a rapport with I was lucky I keep saying lucky, but I was there for all their wins.
Yeah.
When I gave them, I didn't give them the trophy, but when I announced them as the
You've
winner.
impressed me this much. Here's the trophy.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of love in particular for Philippox because he's really humble and modest and he's like sort of come through.
You extract stuff out of him in the interview.
Oh, he's great.
You gave him a cheeky side that I don't think anybody thought he had.
Yeah, he's sick. But then obviously G2 are right up there as my number 2, I think. Just because Doki was there at 2019 at ESL
It's
Prem.
with Vexed.
Yeah.
Eminem maybe.
Yeah, it was
One of them. Yeah.
But we've got a great relationship.
Who else is good to interview? Because obviously, the main part of your job is stage hosting.
Yeah, good question.
Not just warming the crowd up, but interacting with the crowd, keeping things moving along, etc. In terms of the other part of it, it's very much before and after the games are done, interviewing the players on the stage. So who are your favourites? Obviously, you said about Philippox and Doki. Maybe outside of that?
Stars make sports, right? And that's esports and traditional sports. So you're always looking for those charismatic enigmas who can go up there and chat their shit and generate some heat.
I know you're coming with here.
Well, I mean, I've got a good mix here. I think I really like, and I hope he comes back. I love Iconic.
I knew he was going to say Iconic.
I knew, and he knows it because we still talk to each other on Instagram, Iconic, and I know that I want you back because he's cold as ice as well. And you see him on photographs when after he comes off the stage, cool as anything. Yeah. Iconic is one of those guys that I think could be a real good face of Siege if he can get back. I know he's had his injuries and stuff, but legend. Gunnar in Manchester was just dynamite. Wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was dynamite.
He was, yeah.
He's a great talker. I thought, I really like Spoit when he was like the golden kid when he did it in Berlin. He was really cool. He's a great guy to interview up on stage as well because the fans love him. Lobin, he wasn't as shit talking at the most recent event
In Boston,
but in Atlanta or Copenhagen, it was one of the two. I think it was Atlanta. He was giving it loads.
because they were the enemy, weren't they?
He's really good. These are all guys that I think ultimately you can't force these sort of characters to appear, but when they do, it just makes everything that little bit. Ashen, come on now. Ashen is another guy who's just class. And Alamau, Alamau's isn't afraid to run his mouth as well. So there's some seriously good talkers in Siege.
And that's what you want as a host.
Of course it is.
How do you... All right, I'm not going to ask you to name names, but a bad interview, because they happen. How do you deal with that as a host, first and foremost? Because, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a host or anything, but if I was sat here and you weren't talking, I'd be like, what am I going to ask him?
So, luckily, if you can find the time, what I try and do to diffuse some nerves is like moments before we go on air, or let's say Team A has just won, Player A has come to me for an interview, and I'll have about 10 seconds before the casters throw down to me.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, bro, well done. Here's what we're going to talk about, whatever. How you feeling? It's going to be chill, whatever. Yeah. So the first words I say to them aren't just, here I am with... There's like a little bit of communication to chill things out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'll just play into the emotion of the moment. So like, if that player is speechless, you then say speechless, and allude to the fact that man's not got much to say.
Yeah.
Or if you're expecting one-word answers, go prepared with locked and stocked with 4 or 5, where you can just get your quick one-word answers and then move on.
Okay.
Because look, luckily, if you're working with good producers, they'll allow you to they'll see as much as you
And
see.
they'll just want it out.
Just get out of here. Whereas then if you get a great interview, you can let that shit run.
Yeah.
But luckily, there's not too many bad interviews in Siege. There's one that I'm desperate to get, and you know it is. And if he's watching, you know I want. Shaiko. I pulled him. Obviously, BDS didn't get the job done recently.
Yep.
Again.
Did you not get him in Jönköping?
No, so what? I had a brief word with him in Jönköping, but it
Right.
wasn't a proper. I want a one-on-one. That was just like a you did it quick moment. And there was this one time in Manchester where he was denying interviews.
Yeah.
And I said to him, Shaiko, I'm not going to ask you any questions, just come here. I promise I'm not going to ask you a question. And he came over to me, and I just raised his arm, and the crowd just went nuts for him. Just because I wanted him to have...
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to come up, you don't get those moments as much.
Yeah.
Like an individual, you're the man moment. Yeah.
Do you know what's funny?
Go on.
All of the name drops that you've done so far throughout this whole recording, I've actually interviewed Shaiko one-on-one.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
Sit down.
Yep.
Where? When?
Long form.
Long form?
Long form one-on-one.
What the...
Yep.
What?
Game-
I've tried with this guy so many times.
Gamers 8, 2023.
He sat with you and chatted.
Media day. We did 42 minutes in a long form interview. And being honest, it was very hard because at this point his English was much, much worse.
Yeah, but
So Alems was there with us, and what he was doing was he had a whiteboard, and Shaiko was answering it to him in French, was writing it in English, and then showing him the whiteboard, and Shaiko was speaking from the whiteboard.
Really?
But yeah,
Hey, it's still better than nothing.
yeah, 40 minutes. So
You're the man, Fresh. So what I need to do is...
the elusive one that got away.
So if this guy wins in a Falcons jersey soon,
Yeah.
I just need to say, hold on, Shaiko, wait right here. Fresh, come on up here. And you interview him on the stage.
Yeah. Actually, I interviewed him on the stage at that event that they won as well.
Did you?
Yeah, well, it's when we went down the whole team.
Yeah.
I think that was for social media, though. I don't think that was for the actual broadcast. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that was 2023 when BDS won it.
Wow.
So, yeah, there we are.
Well, now I need to go back to the drawing board.
I got dragged into a media day that I didn't really want to do, but
Yeah.
I ended up doing it. And I interviewed a lot of people that day.
You're good at it.
It was like 40 minutes for every team at the event.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're long days.
Who was it? It was me, Demo, and I want to say Jess were doing all the content that day.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you did it as well. You was there.
No, I did one game as 8. That was there.
Do you remember when you was doing the roaming cam?
Yes.
That's when I was meant to do that, and I think you were meant to do the long
That's
form.
when I got in on no sleep.
Yeah, and it got swapped, so I ended up doing the long form content.
Yeah.
Because I think I was meant to do
And
that
I did the
roaming,
lobby.
and you did the lobby bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's when you could have had a long form interview with
I could have had a look. Damn it! Nah, I like that it's elusive. I quite last thing on Shaiko. I do think it makes him a little bit more of an enigma.
Yeah, it definitely does.
It definitely does.
100%.
Definitely does.
So.
We love Shaiko. What a guy.
Especially his tweets
Shakira.
now as well. Shakira.
That's what my mum once called him. I don't know if I told the story earlier. It might have been a different recording. But we were in Jönköping and my mum came out to watch and we were in the hotel lobby and you guys all came through. And my mum went, "Hi guys, lovely to see you." And she went, "What about that Shakira?" And I went, "Mum, you mean Shaiko?" But yeah, good times.
That was crazy. Jönköping was crazy.
That we look here.
Yeah, we really are. I was just thinking about, we went to a steak restaurant in Jönköping and your mum came as well.
She
It was
did.
like all the talent and then you and your mum as well, and it was like, that was incredible.
Yeah. Hey, if I can bring my mum, I'll bring her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took her all over the world with esports.
Took her to Japan as well, didn't
Took
you?
her to Japan, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, she's always wanted to go, so
Yeah.
she came with me. It
I'm
was
very jealous.
yeah, we got to do an event in Japan.
I really hope Siege. Do you know what's funny is every year, because obviously we know where the events are going to be. We know what the plans are because obviously, we speak to the people that are making those decisions at events.
But we've got to keep it.
Yeah. So officially, we don't know where any of the events are in the future. But every year, and this happened from my very first foray into Tier 1 talent, I was called by a man named Sajid, who we both know, in France, to offer me EUL. And when he offered me EUL in 2021, he said, "Here are the plans for some events in the next 6 to 9 months." And that included one event in APAC. And I was like, oh my God, we need to, yes.
Yeah.
Like, just yes.
Yeah.
And it's
crowd-
never quite transpired. Like, the last time Siege went to APAC was Tokoname in 2019.
It's been a while.
So it's been 6 years.
It's been a minute.
Hopefully we get there. And every year we keep getting teased
Yeah, we do.
that there's an event coming, and hopefully
do.
there will at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I've done, I've done.
Because obviously you've been lucky enough to do it with other esports and other stuff.
Yeah, but I just want to see what the Siege community is like.
Yeah.
I really want to see what the Siege community is like over there.
Yeah.
Let's hope we get it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Speaking of events,
Yep.
we're both going to Brazil
Yes, we are.
for Reload.
Vamos, facem barulho.
I just know the Vamos bit. I can't
No,
say the
honestly,
rest.
I'm sat here all chilled, but I just want to make clear this is. When we left Sao Paulo, we were like, we got to go back. We got to go back to Brazil. We got to go back to Brazil because it looks like that was different gravy.
Yeah.
Like it was a different experience altogether. Like we do great events, but like, come on now. And obviously, Ubisoft and the entire team were like, we have to go back because that was nuts.
Yeah.
And now we're going back. It's
Yeah.
Reload time. CJX in Rio de Janeiro. The beach part. And don't get me wrong, I love the concrete jungle that is Sao Paulo, but we're doing an event right by the beach.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It's
This
gonna
is
be
a dream
incredible.
come true.
It's going to be incredible. Events have a lot of planning into them now. Like right now, they are already planning 2 or 3 events in the future.
Yep.
So we've had to wait to get back to Brazil since, but now we're going back. I'm so excited.
Oh my god. How can I mean
And I've never been to Rio. I'm presuming you have.
I've been to Rio once.
You've probably been to see Pele there or something, right? Like, just out of the blue.
I actually did an event in Sao Paulo, then I went on a little trip down to Rio. I spent a bit of time on the beach and
So you've never done an event there, you just visited?
no, I've never done an event there. Brazilian fans, as you'll be aware, are the most passionate in the world.
Yep.
I just think it's undeniable. I think it's undisputed. But there are passionate fans in France. There are very passionate fans in the UK and across Europe. Americans are obviously passionate at times as well. But there is nothing like it. It's like a party. It's like a fiesta. It's crazy over there.
Yeah.
And it is about what they're watching, but it becomes more about them being together.
Yeah.
And we get to experience that whole
you're
thing
100% right.
all over again. And we just got to pray that the Brazilian teams do well.
I had tinnitus for like a week. And the reason being is I had to, when we were on the desk,
Yeah.
I turned the headset, and I never do this. Up
Full
to
whack.
full whack, couldn't hear it. There's one point on the broadcast, I've never watched it back, but there's one point on the broadcast where Milos asked me a question, and I just go, Milos, I've not heard you. Like, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you've said. Can you ask me again? Because the fans are just that loud, and it was so loud. Genuinely, I was in the UK for about a week later, and my ears were still ringing.
Crazy.
So I cannot wait.
And I get to work with, I'm pretty certain I'm working with Leo again.
Yeah.
Who was my Brazilian co-stage host, because it's not common. Lots of Portuguese people do speak English, but you can't just expect to go to a Brazilian crowd and start speaking wholly in English. And the first time when me and Leo worked together in Sao Paulo for SI, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, I've never really done this whole co-hosting multilingual thing.
Yeah.
And then we met prior to it, and we just got on like house on fire straight away. Had the chemistry, and we didn't make it about me saying my line, him saying his line. We made it us both chatting and going back and forth with each other. He taught me some Portuguese.
Yeah.
I would ask him questions about who he thinks is going to win. He'd answer in English. And it just became this, in my opinion, this really nice little combo.
And it blends the two as well. It blends the Portuguese people inside of the arena was able to connect with you.
Yeah.
And also the wider audience as well. It was the same with Leo, them connecting with the English people listening at home as well. So
And the fans are so supportive of their players.
Yeah.
And it spills over to like a week after the event.
Yeah.
I could tweet "Bom dia," good morning,
Yeah.
and it'd get 1,000 likes.
You actually captured like the Portuguese fans.
Yeah.
Because of that relationship with Leo, but you've got a really good relationship with Raza as well.
Which means bald Hazard.
Bald Raza. You even said it when we was in Boston and we saw him live streaming in the street.
You know what? It's I could live out there. I could live in Brazil.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's nuts. It's
And
so good.
In that was a big. Everything clicked, and the Brazilians dug it.
And that also helps, because I noticed this when we was at Esports World Cup last year.
Yeah.
That helped with when you transitioned into the hosting there with Fancy. Doing
Yes.
the English into the Arabic. It was the same kind of thing, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And you very much made it a relationship between the two of you as like one host rather than an English host and another language host.
Yeah, I think you've got to be adaptable. I think you've got to be able to make that work. And as long as you're working with people that are willing to communicate and try different things, then you can make it happen. Won't be BDS winning this time, maybe. Maybe Falcons. What do you think?
I think Falcons would be happy if they won that. They've won every other Saudi event. It'd be crazy if this was the one that roster didn't win.
You've been playing Siege since the very beginning, the dawn of time, which was what? When did that come out?
15.
So 2015. Now, like 10 years later, are you excited for Siege X?
Yeah, I can't wait. Honestly, we did the Atlanta event happened that we all knew about was happening in February, and we got to play the new game mode, Dual Front, and it was really good. There was a lot to like about it. I think there's still some things to be ironed out. Don't get me wrong. I don't pretend to know what game development's like, but shit goes wrong in every aspect of life.
Yep.
So there'll be stuff that will get ironed out, I'm sure.
What a message that is. It's true though. Shit does go wrong in every aspect of life. You've got to roll with the punches.
So much stuff in life.
Yeah.
But like, I had a really positive experience, and I made it very honest when I did that stream. I did the stream of the Atlanta event because that was a sponsored stream. I was being paid by Ubisoft to stream the game. But at the same time, they know that I'm very honest. Like, if it was shit, I would have said, despite the fact that I was being paid to do it. I really enjoyed it, the new game mode, and it made me interested about the core Siege X, which nobody's actually got their hands on fully yet. But the showcase of it, it looked really good. There's a lot to go on, and there's a lot of new things. And I think if they get it right, which I hope they do, and I think they will, then Siege is going to be in a really good place.
Well, it was in a great place after SI last year.
Yeah.
Like, the numbers and viewership and player base was back at an all-time high.
And, on that as well, the content side of the game is thriving more than ever.
Yeah.
You can't really talk about Siege and content without mentioning people like Jinxie.
MVP.
But even somebody like Stompen, who was, a big content creator in North America, he's potentially looking like he's going to qualify to North American League.
Crazy.
And it's like we've got this now interlocking that we didn't previously
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
And it's all starting to come together, isn't it?
Yeah, we used to have content, we used to have pro scene, and now it's this.
Yeah.
And it's that combined with CJX, it can start snowballing.
One thing that we know about development and the delivery of CJX is that the people behind it, a lot of people, have put so much passion, love, dedication, and time into making this the next thing.
Yeah.
So that's the one guarantee is, there hasn't been any lack of effort with this. It's been all guns blazing, everything has been put into it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And behind the scenes, everybody just wants, not just the game itself, but the esports scene to thrive for years to come.
Yeah. And that's what Reload's about. That's what Reload is about, showcasing CJX.
Yep.
And putting our top teams, because the theory is our partner organizations will create the top teams and put them all in one tournament to showcase this game. And add a fun spin on it with the format, with the bullets and all the different cards that the teams are going to play.
With a fun crowd.
And with a fun crowd in a hot country.
In a hot country. It's going to look cool.
Because I'm fucking sick of cold country. Boston seemed really nice, but can we go there in the summer?
It was cold. Yeah, let's go there in the summer.
Montreal was cold every time we've been. Yeah, no. Brazil was hot.
But you mentioned there, and I know that I'm going back into host mode here.
Go on.
But I do want to, you said the top teams are going to be there.
Yeah.
I want to rank Fresh's top 5
freaking
teams in all of Siege right now.
In all of Siege?
Yeah.
Ever?
No, sorry, right now.
Like
every region.
Going to the ones that are going to Reload or just the top 5?
Top 5 in general.
Okay. FaZe.
Yeah.
FaZe is
number 1.
Number 1 by far.
Yeah.
Oh, not by far, actually, because I think Falcons, the BDS core, those two teams are out in front for me. Like, obviously, we got them in the final.
But Falcons haven't won SI yet.
No, they haven't, because objectively, you look at it and you see that they lost all the finals in the last year. And let's just call them BDS for now, because we've not seen them as Falcons. BDS lost all the finals in that year. But actually look at all those finals in isolation and quite objectively. They're only a couple of rounds away from winning all of them. Honestly, like 10 rounds across all 3 finals go different or something stupid like that. They win all of them. We're talking about a dynasty. Yeah. So they're not that far off. FaZe won the SI, so of course.
Which in itself is such an epic comeback story. Because to go from, having it all right in front of you, just like one footstep away from taking SI on your home soil in Sao Paulo. Yeah. As much as you want to call it as a big comeback, it was a massive comeback from W7M, but you've got to bottle it when you, 6-1 up?
Yeah.
To then be able to do it at the next one on foreign soil.
Yeah.
I think that makes you a legend.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And honestly, they're an unreal team.
Yeah.
Like, FaZe and what is now Falcons for me are the front runners.
Yeah.
They're the two at the absolute front.
Fury at number 3.
I don't think Fury are too far behind.
Yeah.
I was saying this, you just come in for the back end of the tournaments when we do majors and SIs, but beforehand, our first rehearsal day of every event, we always tag on an hour as talent and just discuss general stuff about all the teams. I was saying this about Fury before this SI. I was like, people are sleeping on them. They are still one of the best teams in the world. And they showed it at SI. They fell short because they played against BDS on the main stage and lost. Still one of the best teams. So that's my top 3.
So 4 is there's a bit of a gap.
This is where there starts to be a bit of a gap. I think probably, and this is maybe a little bit speculative, so ex-Sonics, Shopify Rebellion, for me.
Yeah.
Now that they've signed Spoit,
Yeah.
I put them in there just because I was already a huge fan of that team. I think Super and Canadian as the minds of that team.
Crazy.
And then some of the gunners they've got on it, and then they've added Spoit. It just feels too good to be true.
I'm looking forward to seeing Spoit's next chapter.
Yeah.
He's ready for a new chapter.
I mean, obviously he won't be in Brazil, will he? But it'll be after that
Yeah.
we'll see him for the first time. Oh, God. The 5th team is the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
Who do I put? There's a cluster of teams. You've got W7M who won the major. You could maybe argue G2 and VP are in that conversation. Ooh. And then most of the North American teams are probably in that conversation as well. DZ maybe.
I think you've got to go W7M though.
Because they won a major.
Yeah.
Yeah. It probably has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good top 5.
Three Brazilians.
But it's good to know that the Brazilians are firing going into Reload though.
And 4 of those 5 teams are going to be in Reload. Just only Shopify.
So just
that won't
Shopify
be.
not there.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun event. It's going to be a very,
I'm super
very
hyped for
fun
it.
event.
And I'm glad that you're there and we get to spend time
Yeah.
together again.
Be interesting seeing some of the other teams as well that have like picked up like Fnatic. We're not seeing Fnatic. What was Rogue since
Yeah.
Berlin? Well, actually since SI23 on the stage, we've not seen them.
I really want to see them live up to their name
Yeah,
as an org.
as an org,
Yeah.
even as a team. I mean, they've not really got many players on there. I think there's only Deepak that was on that team that won in Berlin
Yeah.
and Tristan, but still want to see it.
Best player in the world. I only want one name.
Christ.
I'm going to throw some names at you.
Go on then.
Shaiko.
No.
You don't think it's Shaiko? How come?
Finals.
You might ruffle some feathers there.
Finals. His performance in finals.
Cyber.
The Shaiko.
It's Cyber, innit?
Just, I don't know.
It's Cyber,
I
innit?
don't know. But just quickly on that, Shaiko in 99% of games for me is the best fragger in the world. Probably the best. I'd probably put Leakfack as
But he's
best
got to
player
get
in
it
the
done
world.
in the big moments,
But
innit?
the stress that he seems to feel under in finals that affects his performance, and we've seen it across every final.
Yeah.
It's yes, but with an asterisk.
Okay.
I think Leakfack's a shoe-in.
Yeah.
It's probably Handy for me.
Handy.
Yeah. I think you could pluck anybody really out of that phase lineup, or a couple of Furia players.
Imagine being their parents, by the way. Imagine any sport or any competitive thing in the world where you have twins and both of them world championships
And one was
in
against
separate
each
teams
other.
against like,
Yeah.
and also like the fact that there was heartbreak the first time round, and then it manages to get it the second.
The redemption. Yeah.
The redemption. It's just crazy.
I think.
What are they eating? What were they eating as kids?
Yeah. Don't know. The only one that is probably comparable to, and you probably know them, is the Williams.
Yeah, it is.
The Williams
I
sisters.
don't know.
I threw it out there. Wimbledon.
Serena, Venus, we're tight. We just go down with David Lloyd and volley around with each other.
That's why I started with the second name, just in case. But it's the same kind of. I can't think of anybody else that's
It's
like
nuts, though.
family.
It's crazy. Like you'll see professional footballers, you might have 2 guys who are in the Premier League, but there's always one that's miles better than the other.
Yeah, I was thinking about the F1, like Charles Leclerc. His brother is in F2, F3, but they're not in F1 together.
It's still 2 supremely talented individuals.
That's incredible.
But they're not world champions.
But to be at the pinnacle of the sport, I can't really think of any.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
That was a great storyline. Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like even Benja and Benja's brother both play esports, but there's different esports. Because Benja's brother plays in Overwatch.
Yep.
So, yeah.
He's a good player.
Is
Benja. No, our Benja. I don't know the Overwatch guy.
Yeah, I think he's good as well.
Is he?
I think so.
It's 2 lads from Hull doing
Yeah, yeah.
same thing, isn't
At
it?
the pinnacle, yeah.
It's the same
The
thing.
pinnacle of remote production.
Absolutely. Just 2 guys on a yellow sofa talking about video games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's absolutely crazy. I think that's where we'll end. It's
been beautiful.
Naturally. Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Oh,
This is the
It's my platform.
This is the old host and end of interview questions. Anything you'd like to say to the fans? Any skins you want to sell?
Anything I'd like to say to the fans?
Any friends that you want to plug?
Shout out to Red Bull. I love you. Do you know what? I think anyone's goal in life, and we can't always achieve it, is to spend as much time as possible doing what we love in it. And I feel very lucky to be able to do what I love. And a big part of that is because you lot didn't neglect me. You lot didn't reject me. And the support, especially at Siege events, I want to keep this Siege related because it's going to be your Siege audience. The support, the atmosphere, not just for me. I mean, like, when we gave Emily the commendation and the support that she got from the community is just one small example of how beautiful our scene is.
Yeah.
It's just a huge support network, but at the same time, we can get fiery and we can want our teams to win and we can go head to head with Chance. And I just think it's the best crowd in the world. And I thank you for having me as a part of your scene. And I also want to give a massive shout out to the entire production team at Ubisoft, at Blast, the talent team that are always so much fun to work with, especially you, Fresh. Yeah, I'm only saying that so you edit out any of the bullshit that I've said.
It's all staying in.
It's all
Don't
staying
worry.
in.
Every single bit of it.
Every single bit. But yeah, that's what I want to say. I just want to say thank you because I'm on the run of a lifetime. You know, every single time I'm on a flight on the way to a Siege event, I'm pinching myself as I order a gin and tonic.
In economy.
Sometimes they're just hanging on to the wings, kicking me legs, looking in at him and he's going, cheers, Ian.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fair enough. Well,
thanks for having me. It's a great podcast you got here.
Thank you very much, first and foremost, for doing the voiceover for it and not charging me. But thank you for agreeing to be a guest on it. I'm sure we'll have you back on, especially when we're both out in Brazil as well.
We've got to do it. We'll do it in a bar.
We'll do it in a bar in Brazil with some. I can never say it.
The greatest drink of all time.
Vamos.
So this has been Fresh
and friends and me.
Cheers, Fresh.
So thank you very much, Ian, and thank you for you watching at home. Continue sport, love it. See you all in the next one. Bye bye.